My frustration is, do I think he's a bit of an arsehole? Sorry, I don't. And I know that's very personal, and I'm saying it in jest. But like, basically, more professionally, yes, I don't really like the guy. It's the screaming in Pickford's face when Argentina get one back. It's the rash nature of his tackles where it does feel like he leaves one on players. It's just his general demeanor I find so dislikable. I really do. But that's not the worst thing. The worst thing is I don't really rate him as a footballer, if I'm honest. Sorry, and I take back the arsehole comment because it is personal. I actually don't know the bloke. Like you hear these things about players, and then off the pitch, like Richarlison, Joe Linton, um, they have reputations for how they are on the pitch, but off the pitch they do the most amazing charity work, and they're really great, characters and actually top guys, and it's just their competitive nature. In fact, we might say that about Gabriel compared to what others might say, and I don't think Gabriel is actually like that at all. So I do take that comment back. But my point is, I find him so dislikable in the way he sort of carries himself. But the worst bit is I don't rate him that much as a footballer. The thing is, Sharoy, I hate that I'm going to say this. I can see exactly why Arteta would want him. I hate myself, but I can.
Look, okay, everything that you just said, when you were talking about how, look, he leaves one on players. Sometimes he takes things a little bit too far, all of that sort of stuff. I actually said the same thing to an extent in favour of Bruno last week. The difference between the two for me, and I know we somewhat disagree on this in terms of you really don't like that stuff on the pitch. I actually don't mind it, insofar as it's not to the detriment of your team. What Romero does on the pitch when he takes it too far is very often to the detriment of his team. He will pick up two really, really silly yellows within the space of 10 minutes sometimes. He will get a straight red in a clutch game and leave his team hanging. That is not something that I have seen to date or very often at all from someone like Bruno, right? I think there is a very, very fine line between competitive edge, dark arts, maybe
But
pushing it, and
Bruno has
causing
crossed
detriment.
that line, though. Like, let's be honest. Like, I've seen some Bruno tackles. I can
Yeah,
think of two off the
yeah.
top of my head where I'm like, you should have been sent off for that.
Yeah, but you can think of two off the top of your head. We could probably think about 20 if we sat here and put our brains together for Romero, right? I mean, that's the difference here. And we're not in a position now where what you're saying about why Arteta would want to sign him. Yes, I understand that if we're going to sit here and try and intellectualize the argument, I could do that, fine. But we have, to use Arteta's phrase, I think we do have internal solutions in that position to get us through, man. I really, really do. And if there is a world within which we're sitting there putting an iota of transfer energy or hours of our lawyers or hours of Berta or whatever into this sort of transfer, when that needs to be put into one of the most glaring, obvious holes up front, and it ends up costing us, you could then be sat here in a window where you're saying, okay, you identified Rogers, you walked away, fair enough. You identified Vinny, he walked away, fair enough. You then had about a fortnight. And you ended up looking at your centre back options, and it wasn't even a centre back that your entire fan base was united on. Not that that always matters, but it was a very, very divisive choice, and you ended up not doing what you needed to up top. It's crunch time now, James. It really is crunch time, not just in terms of the personnel that you bring in, but the hours that you're allocating towards bringing that personnel in. These guys are going to be around the clock anyway, and they've got a deadline. They need to prioritize accordingly. I mean, when you're saying that you can see why Arteta might sign him, aside from the fact that he is pretty decent on the ball, he's good in both boxes, and he's a captain. Those are all three reasons as to why I can see it, right? Because that aligns with Arteta's MO. But is there anything else?
But I think it's like, what does it mean to be those things? So, for example, good in both boxes. I think that is when he's channeling his passion in the best way. In every box, it's do or die. It's I need to clear this, and it's I need to put this in the back of the net. So often for Argentina and for Tottenham, he's come up with the big goal when the team has needed it. Um, on the ball, Tottenham fans will tell you he's amazing on the ball. I don't think he's amazing on the ball. I think the only defenders I've really seen that are amazing on the ball are like John Stones, William Saliba, Van Dijk with his switch of play. I don't think Romero's amazing on the ball, but I do think he's got really good running power. There's a guy I speak to on X called Amir who I think made that point. He's got good he's a good, powerful ball carrier. Similar to how Ben White was when he played at centre back in that first season. He used to kind of just carry quite purposefully forward. And I actually think he has a degree of flair in the final third. I think when you're trying to pick out those little triangles and make something happen. And I think this player has to be long term seen as a right back for us too, because when Saliba's fit, you're not really doing much else. Ben White will eventually be sold, whether it's this summer or the following. I expect it to be the following. But the defense isn't in good shape. Lewis Skelly's moved into midfield. Calafiori's very injury prone. Gabriel's had two big injuries, and if I'm really honest, hasn't looked great in pre-season and had an iffy World Cup. William Saliba's injured for probably the next 3 to 4 months. He's on rest, according to Mikel Arteta. Ben White's had some big injuries, been injury prone recently. Timber's had surgery 3 times since he's been at Arsenal and still isn't back. So that is 6 players. Like, there is a need. And Arteta values experience, passion, commitment, Premier League. Did I say Premier League experience or whatever it is? And if he's good enough on the ball and can play in a couple of different positions, I annoyingly can see why Arteta likes it. And if it means it's another threat off a set piece as well, I'm not even joking. At the moment, that's when we look our most threatening.